Hey guys, Matt Starr here. Welcome back to Be a Better Drummer. We're coming to you from Swing House Recording and Rehearsal Studios, which is the West Coast home for D'Addario and Evans. Today we're going to talk about composition. When you guys get into the recording studio, there's a lot of different scenarios, and we'll talk about some of those as well. Some of my experiences, and we're going to talk to some of your favorite drummers and see what their experiences have been. It's always different. It's never the same. So you may be going into a recording studio with a band that you've been rehearsing with for a week. You may go in with a band you've been playing with for a year and touring. Or you might go in on something you just got the music yesterday, or you might go in, as I did with the Ace Frehley record, and not know what you're going to play the day you walk into the studio. So the song I'm going to use as an example is a song called Give Me a Feeling. It was the first single off of the Ace Frehley Space Invader record, which came out a few years ago. I played on the whole record, had a lot of fun making it with Ace. It was mostly just he and I in the studio. That's how he likes to record. I had asked him how he did some of his 70s and 80s records, his solo records with Anton Fig, and he said it's the same thing. He goes, just me and Anton. He likes to keep it just him and the drummer, and it was a lot of fun. Okay, but so the approach was this. We'd walk in, how's it going? Good morning. Get there usually, 11, noon, somewhere around there. And he'd start flipping through files that he had of songs, and he'd listen to something, and I'm just listening. I'm just there listening to what he's listening to. So if he listens to something, I'm starting to absorb it, and then he goes, okay, that's not it. Then maybe this one. Why don't we work on this one? Okay. So I'm listening to him listen to the song, but I know it's going to change. So I'm taking in the information, but I don't want to get too locked on what I'm hearing, because that might change. So I start working out all these parts in my head, and then it's like, well, actually we're going to cut out this whole section and change things around. So I'm just listening, getting the feel. What's the tempo? Is there a what's the groove on it? Is it a straight thing? Is it kind of a rigid, stompy type of groove? Is it sort of slinky, sort of sleazy? Does it have a bit of a swing to it? What's happening with it, right? So that's kind of what I'm taking in. That part's fucking bullshit. Do it again. So the days would usually start around noon. We would get in there. What we would do is listen to what we had done the day before, and usually that was good, and then we'd move on, right? So sometimes Ace would know exactly what song he wanted to work on, and sometimes he'd just be flipping through some demos that he had and make a decision then, right? But I never knew what we were going to do. So the particular song, Give Me a Feeling, was something that he had co-written with John Ostrowski. So John had a guitar and a drum demo, so there was drums on there, right? So we're listening to this, and what I'm listening for is the tempo, the overall groove, the overall feel of the thing. Parts might change, so I'm not going to get too locked into anything. I'm just kind of taking a broad view of it, right? So then Ace would he'd go through the tune, and then he starts strumming through it acoustically in the control room. So as soon as he starts doing that, I'm sitting there next to him, playing on my legs, getting the feel of his strum. Now, we'd played together for quite a while at that point, so I was, we were pretty comfortable musically. It was pretty locked, but no matter. Each song's different. Each day's different, right? So I'm just going to sit there and see where he's at, right? And so this song is, like somewhere around there, right? So I'm playing, and I'm listening. The first thing I'm listening for is, where are the ups and where are the downs? Does each section start on a downbeat or start on an upbeat? Okay? That's really important. And where are the chord changes after that? Right? So that chorus, give me a boom, 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 down, 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 do up, down, do up. Now, I'm not one of those drummers that plays every single chord change. I don't like to be that busy. My approach is to play as little as possible and let the song really breathe. So guys like Phil Rudd are really a huge influence on me, because I want to see if I can just drive down the middle of that thing and let the song happen around me. I think when you're hitting accents all the time on the crash, it ends up sounding too happy. And I am a happy person, but I don't like to play happy drums. So I'm listening to that. Okay, so let's just address that chorus. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, down, bound, down, and up, up, down, bound, down, and up, Okay, so real obvious way to play that would be. It's cool, but it's kind of happy. So let's go the other way. Let's just play straight through it and see what that feels like. That feels good too, but then those chords, it's the chorus. So what if I acknowledge those chords changing, but I'm not hitting the crashes? Let's try that. I like it. Okay, so what I try and do at all costs is to play a groove. Can I play a groove through this thing and acknowledge the different changes that are happening around me? If I can keep the beat going, if I can keep, in this case it's quarter notes, but if it's eighths or whatever, can I keep my right hand going through this thing so it has a feel to it, it has a pocket, you know, and it's danceable? Can I do that? That's really my first choice, if I have a choice, okay? So that's how I ended up playing the chorus. Okay, now there's another figure in this that goes boom bam at the end of each chorus. Give me a feeling, go in my mind, just to believe in it. You make me so. Boom bam, boom bam, boom bam, boom bam, ba-dum bam. Okay, and John on the demo was going gabish, because John's also a drummer. Hi, John. And he goes ga-boom, 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 ga-boom. Right, so that's cool. But I thought, how can I play through that? Okay, so again, ba-boom, 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 ba-do-boom. So at the end you got 3, 4, boom. So I know I'm gonna boom, boom, bang, get back into that groove. Okay, so John's way and kind of the most direct way to play it is 1, 2, 3. Right, ba-boom, 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 ba-da-boom. So what I said is, can I play through this? Let me try that. So what I came up with is 1, 2. So now it's got a pocket, right? That's a thing. That could be a groove on its own. So that's what I ended up doing. So again, I keep the groove going through the whole song. And these are just choices, because different drummers will play things differently, right? Joey Kramer from Aerosmith rarely goes, he likes to go, which is something I heard Anton Fig do on Ace's 78 solo record. So that's another choice. So you could go, say the Joey Kramer way would be, right? Ish. If you listen to Toys in the Attic, he does that. Instead of going ga-bound, he goes to pshat, pshat. And Anton also does that. But I can't remember the tune, but it's on Ace's 78 solo record. And so there's different ways to do it. For me, to keep that groove going, that was the choice that I made. Another thing I want to address is the idea of building, right? And this is something that I learned from some of my favorite drummers, and also Paul Rogers, the singer from Free and also Bad Company. He would always save a little bit of room in the melody to jump up for that last chorus. So the whole thing would be building, right? And so in that first chorus, at the end of the first chorus, for that boom 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 boom, I do. But then the second time I do it, I go. No, I don't. I didn't do that. I had Joey Kramer on the brain. I go. Right? So I'm starting there, and then I'm building. So you want to leave yourself some room. Also, setting up the chorus. You know, I just want to celebrate. It stops, right? So the first time I just go bang. Right? The next time I go bang. right? So I'm doing that 3 and a 4 figure, or is that what it is? 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 1 figure, right? So building, and then also within the chorus. Again, I'm not hitting all those changes at the beginning, so you give me a feeling, you're on my mind. I stop believing till the end of time. Now I'm hitting all those chord changes. So I'm building, right? So the song's building in the chorus, but also I'm building. And it's very subtle, but I left myself room to build, which is really the point to all this. If you just come out of the gate just blazing, that is an approach. I mean, it's like a Dave Grohl type of thing where it's just 10 the whole way. And the first fill you hear leading into the first chorus is going to be the same fill you'll hear on the second chorus and on the third. And that's something that's very effective. I like it, in the Nirvana stuff. It worked great. That's not the only way he plays, but that's a thing that he would do where it's very deliberate. It's like, this is the part, and that's how it's going to go every time. And that itself becomes a hook. Another approach, again, is to build it like I'm talking about. And so you want to leave yourself some room. I think there's a demo of Robert Plant singing Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You that I had on a bootleg thing many years ago. And right out of the gate, he's just like screaming. Every single vocal lick he has is just in the first verse. It's like, somebody obviously said to him, hey, Robert, let's do that. That's awesome. But let's do that 4 minutes in, not 20 seconds in, because there's nowhere to go. But he's young, and he's in the studio, and he's in there with Jimmy Page, and he wants to prove that, hey, man, I can do all this stuff. So, but he learned the art of pacing himself and building it and telling a story and having that creative and energetic arc, which is really, really super important. So don't listen to modern recordings for this. I don't know that you'll hear it because there's not a lot of room for it a lot of times, depending on the kind of music you're listening to. Go back, 80s stuff and 70s and 60s has a lot of it. And so listen to that. And the Phil Spector recordings are really great too. Hal Blaine would typically be on drums for those, and there's tons of different artists that he worked with. But you'd hear him at the end, there'd all be these da-doom, 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 and all these great fills he'd start cutting loose. But prior to that, there probably wasn't any fills, but as the song was fading out, back then everything was a fade out, then I guess they had said actually that Phil, they knew when because Phil would run the song and it might go all day, but when Phil started telling Hal to play some fills at the end, they knew that he was running tape. Like, okay, we're doing a take right now because he's wanting those fills. But they would do that stuff on the fade out. But again, he wouldn't do anything until then. And then it's all this stuff, these little extra bits at the end. Now, I want to talk to you about themes. Every song, ideally, should have a theme, drumming-wise. So there's a groove or a lick or a thing that happens that's unique to that song. And when I was working on that record with Ace, we would go in for probably about a week at a time. So we were cutting like 5 songs a week, kind of a song a day pretty much. And the something I want to address too is he would start strumming that song. He might play it, we might spend 10 minutes, like he'd play it, and then he'd go, oh no, let me do this twice, and okay, let's do this 3 times, and then we'll do this, okay, cool, and so he'd go back and play it again. So I'm just sitting there playing, and then we go, okay, want to go play it? Yeah. We'd go through, run through it twice. Maybe we'd adjust the tempo. We'd play it once ago, that felt slower, that felt fast. Or you might go, hey, what if you did this and this on a certain part? And then we'd play it probably 4 or 5 times total, and by the 5th one, we were usually done. We had a take, and we were done. So, one, I had to retain that information. I couldn't go in there and be learning the song. I needed to know it before we walked in, and I got 10 minutes of preparation. So I'm going to talk to you, let's talk about that first, okay? So, a lot of guys talk about using charts. I do use charts, I can. I read, and I have my own shorthand version that I use, when I'm writing out charts, as a lot of guys do. But I prefer not to. So on this record, I didn't use any charts at all. And part of that is, the nature of the music. It's rock and roll. It's not rocket science. Also, I'm a Kiss fan. I grew up listening to Kiss since I was 8. So I almost kind of know where he's going to go because I've been listening to his playing for, 30 years or whatever. So that just worked out. You know what I mean? That's just how it went. If I needed to make charts, I would. But the bottom line is, I have about 10 minutes from when I first hear the song to when the tape is rolling or the space bar is being pressed, as we do nowadays. So I need to not only learn the song, but I need to come up with parts that are cool and that I'm cool with living with for the rest of my life. Okay? So what ended up happening was I was all into doing these things, playing 16th notes, breaking them up into those kinds of things, right? So I had done that setting up the second chorus, right? So he goes, baby, I just want to celebrate, and there's a little pause, right? So I did, right? So I had that in there. I was like, okay. So when it came time to start the song, I thought, well, we all just come in together. So that tells me, drum fill. And not some big, stupid, ridiculous drum fill. I mean, if you wanted to do one and it was appropriate, that's cool. But I have a moment here to really kick this song off with a lot of energy. What am I going to do? I could do anything. I mean, the most simple thing is just a flam. 1, 2, 3. Right? But I had that in there. So I was like, well, what if I went 1, 2, what if I went 1, 2. Didn't mean to hit the china. 1, 2. That's cool. If I went, that's cool. But what I ended up doing is this, which is just note-wise, right? So that's, again, a repetitive pattern. So the same thing with me going, trying to keep that groove, again. Same thing. So I'm trying to put loops in there. I'm trying to have things repeat, I'm trying to give them a groove or a pocket or a pulse rather than just some kind of drummer thing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make music. So that's what we ended up using, right? So again, that's the intro fill for the song. And when we tracked this tune, I didn't know where the vocals were. So if you hear the song, it goes, boom, when I see you, there's such a reaction. And I do this flam and kind of in the middle of his first line. Because all I heard was round, round, ju, bow. Now, I thought bow, and that was the beginning of the verse. Now, I write songs, but for me, it seemed like that was the first line of the verse. So I'm thinking, there's only 3 lines in this verse, I guess. Okay, whatever. The first one was the line. I thought that was like the setup. So I'm brat, first verse, so it's in there. That's one of those, as Bob Ross, the painter, would say, a happy accident, right? I just did it. It works. Cool. But I didn't know where he was singing. And I didn't know where he was singing in the chorus either. So there you have the challenge. Again, I'm a minimalist drummer by nature. I'm like, how can I make this thing groove and be sexy and feel good with the least amount of information, So that's my nature. But you also, I like to know where the vocal is because maybe you need to hit a certain word or there's a little hole in there and you want to put something in there. So I just had to guess, I just had to do what felt right. And listening back to the recording now, I'm happy with my playing and what I did, but there's some spots I'm like, I could use like a little something here and there. But, that's just how it went. So, but these are the scenarios that you're getting into. So I think the tools that are really valuable are, what I do is if I walk into like a Walgreens or something, like one of those drug stores or whatever that play that weird pop music that you don't hear anywhere else in the world. You only hear it in those kind of places. As you're walking through the store down aisles and looking for stuff and can't find anything and there's no one there to help you, listen to the tune. And what I do is, okay, that verse came down, boom, chorus, so then I listen to that and memorize that. Then the next time that chorus comes around, I go, let me see if I can play it. Do it. Let me see if I remember it. So it's just a muscle, it's a skill. And reading is great, but music is music, and it comes from here. Now it can come from here and go in and go around, and some guys are great at doing that. But for me, the less I can be focused on anything other than just playing, the better. And reading is a skill, and being able to sight read and see something and go, okay, cool, let's do it. That's a skill, but the guys I love and who inspired me, they were all members of bands, so they had the advantage of rehearsing stuff. So I have the challenge of having that feel like I'm in the band, I'm part of the band. Feels like, yeah, man, we just toured around the region in a van. It feels good, it has that street feel to it. Again, not that cute, happy drumming stuff. It has guts to it. But I just met these guys an hour ago, and how do I make it fit? And for me, part of that process is just getting that music internalized into my body rather than having it be on the page. But you have your own process. Whatever that process is, how can you quickly retain a lot of information and be able to play, not only to play it back and not mess it up, but to play it with conviction and to add parts that are going to really give that song a signature, a sonic signature from the drums. So I'd be interested to hear what you guys do, if you guys have any ways of doing that you found to be helpful. And again, I have a lot of amazingly talented drummer friends here in Los Angeles and all over the country and in the world, but especially here in LA. So we're going to be talking to them throughout the course of the next year and get their input on this too. So we're going to have a conversation. But I want to know what you guys are doing, because there's a lot of, as I do clinics and teach lessons and talk to people, and I'm learning all the time myself, So I'm just sharing what I've learned, and hopefully it's helpful to you guys, but I'm learning also in the process. So, that's kind of the gist of the studio thing as far as walking in on a session and coming in cold and playing. Now, if I have more time, I have the same goals, but I just get more time to flush them out and try them. And you might even have the advantage of going, hey, on the bass you kind of did this thing, but what if we did, we held it and then did the chord change, or did an up instead of a down, or whatever, and then you can actually change the music. But a lot of times I'm coming in and the music has already been recorded, or like Situation with Ace, where the song is already written. So you need to put that in there, your sonic signature in there, in a supportive, respectful way. So all of this stuff, it's the best thing, the beat to Highway to Hell is probably the first beat you ever learned. But man, does it sound so good, because it's right for the song. So it's much easier to let the song make you look good than you try and make yourself look good in the song. That's never going to work. And even with a band like Rush, what Neil's playing, it is supporting the song, and there's three guys that are building that thing together. So it's woven throughout the song. So you can't just come into any song and go, it's not going to work. It works in that context because they leave holes for him to do that, but it's really about supporting the song. So let the song make you look good rather than you trying to, make your drumming statement in the song. If you're focused on supporting that song, then the song is going to reciprocate, and it's going to make you look great. Okay, cool. I hope that's all helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys again real soon. Okay, check out mattstarmusic.com, and I'll talk to you soon.